What's happening, bonsai friends? Today I'm going to be working on a small hawthorn bonsai that I'm redesigning into an ancient tree. I need to do some pruning, I need to do some carving, and I need your advice on some pots that I'm looking at ahead of next spring's repotting season. Let's do it. So this tree is a common hawthorn, Crataegus monogyna. I purchased this tree as part of a trio from a very talented chap who probably hates my guts right now because of all the sacrilegious acts I've been performing on his trees. So this particular tree was involved in an accident. Something apparently fell onto the top of the tree, snapping the apex clean off. So the previous owner decided to sell it. The original crown was reasonably full and quite young looking, so I saw the opportunity to redesign the tree from the taller, younger looking, full crowned tree that it was into a shorter, ancient looking, hollow trunked tree. The inspiration for that idea came from one of Harry Harrington's works on bonsai for me. I'll provide the link to that article in the description so that you can have a look as well. So I brought the tree into my garden in the summer of 2018. I continued to fertilise the tree very heavily in order to really build up the strength of the tree, and I also let it grow freely. I also started the work on hollowing the already dead section of the trunk, and then after leaf fall I drastically pruned the top of the tree, first to bring the apex lower to create that shorter, older looking tree, but also in the hope of stimulating adventitious buds to grow and give me some branches to work with. This spring of 2019, as you can see, the tree has absolutely erupted with very, very strong, vigorous growth, with new buds popping out from the trunk, giving us some options to work with. In the perfect world, I would have liked maybe a bud to have popped somewhere here, but that's fine, we can work with that. We can fill in the void using the branches that did appear. So now the initial growth is starting to harden off. That tells me that the tree is ready to have some work done. It's getting some of the energy back that it invested in all this young growth. So now it's time to select the branches that we would like to keep, remove the ones that we don't need, in order to focus the tree's energy into our keeper branches. Alright, let's do it. Somewhere down here there is, I don't know, a piece of exposed root or something that all this growth is coming from. We don't need that, and it's hampering my visibility, so I'm going to go ahead and cut some of these straight off. There goes 2 of them, 3, 4. Okay, so now I can see what I'm doing. Let's just completely cut those off because it's just a lump of wood. I don't know what it's coming from. I don't know whether it's attached to the root system of the tree or whether it's just a sucker that's popped up. See if I can show you. There it is. It's just detached from the tree. Maybe it's connected by the roots, I don't know. But we don't need it in any part of the design, so there we go. We've got these bits of growth here. They're very low down on the trunk. I don't think we need those either, so let's take those off. And there's some more down here, very low down, no use for these. So we can pop those straight off. There's some more youngish buds down here as well. Again, no need for any of this. Can't see where that's coming from because of the fertiliser. I can just whip those off with my fingernail. Just had a second coffee, so I'm a little bit shaky today. You'll have to excuse my quivering hands. Again, I feel that this small growth is a bit low down. We don't need that one. Off that one comes. This branch is also on the low side, so we can come in and remove that. And this growth here is also, I think, it's a bit low to be used in the final design. But if I remove this, I've then got very little to work with. So I think what I'm going to do, for the time being, I'm going to keep this growth, and I'm also going to keep this growth. Just here we've got two branches coming from exactly the same place, and I'm going to remove one of those to prevent swelling occurring disproportionately. So we've taken it down to the branches that I'd definitely like to keep, and we've got a couple of maybes depending on what happens. It might be that at a later date, when we come to prune the shoots up here that will form the apex and the upper branches, when we come to prune those, we might be lucky and get some further buds developing, in which case I'll look to remove these. But in the absence of more branches popping up down here, I'm going to leave these lower branches just as a backup. So now that I've selected the branches that I would like to keep and remove the ones I don't need, I'm just going to come in and clean up some of these knobs that remain. Okay, let's remove the knobs that have been left behind by those shoots. I'm just going to pop a little dab of Vaseline onto those wounds just to prevent them drying out too quickly. So now that I've done the pruning, we can see what's going on much better. I think what I'll do now is let's come in, have a look at this hollow nice and close, and think about really enhancing some of it. Some of the hollow sections are a bit flat and boring, and I think we could probably do a little bit better, make it look just that little bit more realistic and less like I've just come along and shoom, taken a tool to it. Okay, so there was an existing wound here, and what I've done is I've punched through to create a hollow. I think there's a bit of scope to add a bit of interest, create some shadows in that area. There's also this hollow here. It was an existing wound again, and I've just added some depth to it. With this one though, I don't think there's any scope to add more detail. It's quite small and dark and mysterious. That one's fine as it is. Because I experimented with some dark stain, so it's quite dark and shadowy inside there. But it's actually very flat, plain looking, and to the naked eye, in some half decent light, it just doesn't look very natural. It just literally looks like I've come along, carved down. It doesn't look like it's something that's rotted away naturally. It's just very flat, man-made looking. So I think there's a bit of scope to add some more depth, some undulations and some details that are going to create shadow and some light effects that will really make it look a lot more natural. Looking at the base, again, it doesn't look very natural. I don't think in the natural environment the base would look like this. It's very flat. I think it would rot away and be much more hollow. I'm a little bit loath to attack it until I know what the roots are doing though. I'll come back after repotting the tree when I know a little more in that area. But I think from what I've seen of trees in the wild, bringing the hollow down like so would look a lot more natural, as if it's rotted from below, wicking the water up and rotting away faster than the material above. But we'll look at that at a later date. As you can see, I'm all goggled up, everything's set, safe, I've checked it, I've double checked it. But let's do some carving then. So that's the carving finished. I'll get some close-up shots for you to have a look, and then I'd love to show you a small selection of pots that I've been eyeing up for this tree to go in the coming spring. I'd really like to get your opinions on which you think would work the best. Let's just give the tree a slow spin just so you can have a look. There we go. Okay, let's get some close-ups for you and then I'll show you those pots. Okay, so this is the front. Hopefully you can see I've added some depth to the hollow in here. A little bit of detail work down to here. I didn't go any further down than here. I'll sort that at a later date. I've added some detail around the hollow, made it look slightly more open, slightly less round. I've tried to create some shadows and we've got a nice bit of depth starting to form in this area rather than the uniform, flat, boring section that it used to be. And so with this hollow, tried to add a little bit of detail, opened it up a bit, tried to make it look a little bit more natural. Hopefully you can see the way the light plays off those shadows, creating a bit more depth and interest to what was quite a bland hollow section. So the pots then, I'd say that this is roughly where the front of the tree is. Obviously you'll have to use a bit of imagination, the branches all won't be this long and whippy and ramrod straight. The top of the tree will probably end about at this level. So here come the pots. Let me know in the comments down below which pot you think might work best for this particular tree. I'd really love to know your thoughts on that. If you've got any other ideas for pots for this tree, again, write me a comment, let me know. I'd love to see it. I think in the next video I'm either going to work on another hawthorn that I've got, or perhaps a Japanese maple that I've just brought into the garden. I've got some pruning to do and some unwiring to do as well. Again, let me know what you'd like to see. Would you prefer the Japanese maple or maybe some more hawthorn action? Alright, well, thanks for watching and I'll speak to you next time. Take care. Bye.